So this customer is a golf cart manufacturer, and what you're looking at is a model of the front end of the golf cart. There's the chassis structure, and what should focus on are really two sub-assemblies. One which is the accelerator and pedal. So this is the parking brake assembly, and you can see it's connected by a cable to the brake and pedal assembly, and both are manufactured using fabrication techniques. A lot of the housing, in fact a lot of the parts, the components themselves, are fabricated from sheet metal, and the customer wanted to find ways to first reduce the cost of manufacturing, second reduce the weight of those sub-assemblies, those two sub-assemblies, and three, find ways to eliminate the parking brake assembly by integrating some of those functionalities with the brake and accelerator assembly. So let's focus on some of the value added and value engineering services that we try to do for this customer to try to reduce the weight and the cost of manufacturing of these components. So we're only going to focus on the parking brake assembly and the brake and accelerator assembly, as I pointed out. That is these two assemblies that are highlighted right there. This one and this one. So both have electrical and mechanical components. So I'm going to now focus on just those two assemblies. I'll isolate them and I'll show you a little bit about what they are. Yeah, here are the two assemblies isolated from the rest of the components that you saw in the previous model. These assemblies have, like I said, both electrical and mechanical components. For example, there is a brake actuator in the back of the brake and accelerator assembly that is linked hydraulically to the brake pedal that you see in the front, which is this one right there. And there is also a linear accelerator unit, which is right there, which is an electrical unit that is bought out from a third party, that is linked via this rod to the accelerator assembly right there. Accelerator pedal, I'm sorry. So as you can see, the hand brake or the foot brake, the parking brake assembly, is linked via another hydraulic connection cable. So the parking brake is engaged using this pedal, and it is disengaged using this switch. So for now we're going to focus on this pedal and brake assembly. So let's see what we could do with our value engineering services. So we started with trying to figure out how we can eliminate the housing components in this part. So after about 30-40 hours of work, we tried to come up with some design, and the focus is really in trying to figure out how we can eliminate some of the components in the assembly and also try to reduce the weight of the housing itself. As you can see, we've gotten rid of some of the pieces in the housing, and there's a dramatic change in the way the brake lever is defined. You can see there's a long articulated brake pedal. This is also fabricated. So we try to keep the fabrication in place, try to reduce the housing while keeping the functionality of the brake in order. So this is the first attempt. We wanted to see what the customer would say, and the customer liked the fact that we were trying to go after areas where we could save a lot of time and money. So this is after about 40 hours of work. And with the customer's feedback, we went back and did a second iteration of this part, and what you see is the second iteration right there. And you can see there's a dramatic change in the way the brake pedal is now defined. It is now a forged pedal, but you can see largely the housing is still there. A large portion of the housing is still there. And our goal, like I said, was to remove as much of the housing as possible and try to make the components work, function as they are without a whole lot of support. This brake pedal maintains a lot of the mechanical advantage as the original one, while still being linked properly to the brake actuator. And as you can see, we've not touched the brake pedal, the accelerator pedal yet, which is the one that you see on the right side right there. That is still unchanged, so we want to go to the next iteration. So after this iteration, the customer was very happy with the way we are going after savings and wanted to see what the next step would be. And this is where we came up with the third iteration of the part. And you can see there's a dramatic change in the whole assembly itself. You will notice in the previous one, the linear accelerator unit is still on the right hand side on the wall of the housing. But in this version, we kind of moved it to the back plate of the housing. And you can see we made some dramatic changes to the way the entire accelerator pedal was activating the linear accelerator unit, while not losing any functionality and change to the brake pedal. And when you look at the savings of this assembly over the version 1, we've saved almost 30% in component and assembly costs, which is very significant for this assembly. And we also made it possible for the brake assembly, the handbrake assembly, parking brake assembly, to be integrated into this assembly easier by removing a whole lot of housing constraints. We're now able to make room for some of the functionality for the parking brake to be incorporated in the same assembly. So that is our goal as we move forward. So as you can see, value-added engineering significantly took us from version 1 to version 2 to version 3, along the way reducing the cost of the part, the cost of the components, the cost of the assembly by almost 35%, while also replacing, actually improving the performance of some of the parts. For example, the brake assembly is now largely made up of cast and forged components, giving it a lot more performance, a lot more strength, while also maintaining the ergonomics of the assembly itself. Thanks.